Hey there! Today we're going to talk about a pen by the brand Ratnam, KV Ratnam and Sons, which, if I understand correctly, is the oldest manufacturer of pens in India. And these pens were sent to me by Iris aus Berlin. And they come in these simple boxes. So these are Indian pens. The boxes are fairly simple. You have a sort of ballpoint on there and a fountain pen on there. These are the fountain pens. She sent me three different ones, and today we're going to be talking about model 15, number 15. Open up the cardboard box and out comes the pen. I'll just briefly show you the other ones. This is one that will be covered in the future, and this is one that will be covered in the future. But for now we'll be having a look at this brown one. I didn't have a whole lot of background information on these pens. I haven't really checked them out. I would strongly suspect this is ebonite, both from the smooth touch. It's a very interesting feeling. If you've ever held an ebonite pen, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's a very smooth feeling, not like plastic. It's very different. So ebonite is hard rubber, and it's a very nice pen material. Was used a lot back in the day, and not so much in modern pens, but I like it a lot. So I'm going to cover the pen. I'll tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and then I'll do a writing sample. Let's start at the very top of the pen. There is a type of diamond which is a little bit Parker 51-esque, to the extent that it's a sort of round pyramidal, that's a contradiction in terms, but thing, you probably know what I mean. You get a nice little center band right there, a narrow center band, and then you have the clip. And the clip, I'm just going to make this focus there. You see Ratnam. It says Ratnam Son, I think, because it's Ratnam and Sons. It looks like gold. Clearly it's not gold, but it looks like it. Nice and springy. And right next to the clip, maybe interesting to show you, is a little hole, and that hole is there to make sure the cap doesn't actually draw a vacuum, and then you would start to get ink leakage, etc. So that's a nice little touch. Alright, as I said, little center band kind of sticks out a bit. It's not really flush with the rest of the cap, but that's okay. Then you have the barrel, which is nicely rounded off, and all three of these pens are eyedroppers, so they hold a lot of ink. The barrels are not extremely thick. They're not very, don't have a huge diameter. But they're pretty nice, and they do hold quite a lot of ink. Now I just have to show you, I love brown mottled ebonite. Just look at how gorgeous that is. I really love the material. You can probably see how smooth it is just by that reflection near the bottom, and I really love it. Alright, the cap screws off, and then you get a section which has a pretty wide flare, and then you have a nib which of course says iridium point. It doesn't actually say Germany, it's gold colored. I'm pretty sure it is not even gold plated, it's just some gold colored nib. And then you have a nice ebonite feed, which you can see at the bottom there. It's a little hard to put some light on there. We go. So one of those flat feeds. I can't show you the inside of the pen. There's ink in there, but it will be very simple. You just unscrew the section, you take an eyedropper, you just put ink in there. It holds a significant amount of ink. I haven't actually measured it, but it's a lot. And that's pretty much all there's to it. Okay, so what do I like about the pen? What do I not like about the pen? Well, I like the looks. Ebonite is a cool material. It's pleasant to hold. It's really pleasant to the touch. I think it looks cool, so that's all very nice. When it comes to writing, these nibs are not the smoothest. That goes for all three pens. Not the smoothest I've ever used. They're not the worst, but I'll try to give you some more information about that during the writing sample, so you can, I'll also talk you through what I'm feeling as I write. Eyedroppers are probably the simplest pen system to use. I mean, you don't have any mechanical parts for a converter or a piston turning knob or whatever. You just have this hollow barrel which you just throw ink in. Of course, that does make it a little hard to fill this pen on the road. If you're in a train or whatever, you can't just pop in a new cartridge. You actually need an eyedrop and a bottle of ink. Then again, they hold so much ink that I think it would take a while before you actually run out. And that's all, let's do it. So, I think what we need to do next is a writing sample. I hope this was useful, and I'll see you later. Bye bye. Alright, so here we go with the Ratnam number 15. Brown Ebonite. The ink is Mont Blanc Toffee Brown. And the paper is Rhodia. Do a bit of writing. The interesting thing is that although it's a very fine nib, it's not the scratchiest in the world. It's actually, especially in these downstrokes, it's pretty smooth. Here you probably hear some more scratch, but that is pretty nice. Alright, let's do some fast writing, see how well the nib keeps up. Feed, I mean. Sorry. Alright. Well, you see a bit of skipping here and there. So it's not the wettest of pens, and it isn't, but it is rather fine, so that was to be expected. It's on the dry side. This is not an excessively dry ink or anything. You see when I do this coloring that you get some white spots between it, and at some point I think the pen may just run out of ink completely. There we go. You have to get the ink flow going again, and you will. But this is what happens. It's definitely dry. I always enjoy taking up some other pen to show you a comparison there. This is a Delta Dolce Vita oversize with very wet nib, which you can actually use completely perpendicular to the paper. There we go. And then it's a very wet pen. Alright, so it's dry, but that's not necessarily an issue. Some people like that. You can always make it a bit wetter. What about flexibility? As you can see, there is some spring to it. Actually not bad at all. That was you sneezing there. Okay, so that's the pen. Nice bit of line variation. You see it gets some paper fibers stuck in the nib, indicating it is a bit scratchy. And one thing I would like to do here is something odd. I get quite some requests for that, so I'll try to incorporate that in my videos. I'm reversing the nibs. I'm actually writing with it upside down, feet up. Some people like that, so this is what it does. Alright, you know what? That's all there's to it. So I hope this was useful, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.